Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and Trump is considering possibly pardoning Edward Snowden, and of course, this could save his presidential run. This could save his presidency going into the election, and I'm going to go into that and much more today. But first, make sure to hit that like button, share on social media to get us around the shadow banning. Join our newsletter at www.iambanned.com. Join us on Flote, BitChute, LBRY, and Minds, and check those links below. There's lots of ways you can help support us as we are completely viewer funded. We also have links to the petitions for people like Michael Edwards and Ross Ulbricht below that you guys can check out as well. Anyway, let's get into this. As this article of the New York Post says, a lot of people think Edward Snowden not being treated fairly, and this news has blown up all over the place. This is a USA Today article that says, President Donald Trump said Saturday that he is considering granting a pardon to whistleblower Edward Snowden. And I quote, "I'm going to take a look at that very strongly," Trump said during a news conference at his golf resort in Bedminster, New Jersey. Snowden, a former contractor for the National Security Agency, has been living in exile in Moscow since fleeing the U.S. 6 years ago after leaking information on the nation's most secretive spy agencies and their programs. His revelations triggered a debate over government eavesdropping, with some hailing him as a hero and others calling him a traitor. Trump said that he is not aware of the Snowden situation, but that people on both the left and right are divided over the former contractor. And I quote, "It seems to be a split decision," he said. "Many people think he should be somehow treated differently, and other people think he did very bad things." Trump raised the question of a pardon in an interview this week with the New York Post. And I quote, "There are a lot of people that think that he is not being treated fairly. I mean, I hear that," Trump said. The Post reported that Trump polled members of his staff about whether to let Snowden return to the U.S. from Russia without going to prison. Trump also told the Post about Snowden, and I quote, "Many people are on his side. I will say that. I don't know him, never met him, but many people are on his side." As it continues, it says, in the interview, Trump justified talk of pardon by again complaining about an FBI investigation into links between his campaign and Russians who sought to interfere in the 2016 presidential election. He said it was unfair that people like former FBI Director James Comey are free while Snowden is in legal limbo. And again, these people that say that he was some kind of traitor really miss the point big time. You can see this article up, the 10 biggest revelations from Edward Snowden's leaks. A traitor to what? A government that is fraught with criminality, the government that's killing millions of people worldwide, drone bombing people to death, completely innocent people, countless children, men, women, and children. I mean, who's the real criminal here? The person that exposes the spying or exposes the murder, like Julian Assange, for example? Who is really at fault here? I mean, at the end of the day, you have people showing that the government is guilty of this thing. If I were to say, my neighbor murdered this person, would you say I'm a traitor to my neighbor? Well, maybe so, but my neighbor is then a murderer. So what's wrong with pointing that out? And we have a serious lack of conscience in this country and elsewhere when we have a situation like this where we're even asking questions whether the person exposing the corruption should be in jail or not. Of course, they shouldn't be kidnapped and locked in a cage. It goes without saying. And I believe that this could save Donald Trump's presidency. Now, again, I'm a voluntarist. You know how I feel about all this kind of stuff, politics in general. It's organized crime. But with that said, you can, you can get some positives out of every negative to some extent. And when you see something like this, everyone's so confident that Donald Trump's going to win again. And I don't think it's reasonable to be completely confident on that. Hillary Clinton was super confident, and all her supporters were super confident she would win back in 2016 as well. You have the issue of the stock market, which is super indicative of whether a president will win or not. And it's just plunged with trillions of dollars from the Federal Reserve, which at any point can blow up and burst, which fundamentally it has to eventually, and that could happen before the election, and all we need is some bad news to really push it in that direction. Then we have at the same time, again, like I said, the confidence where people just think that Trump is just going to be handed the election. You have mail-in voting, you have the possibility of corruption in the voting itself. So at the end of the day, I don't think people should be so confident that Trump will become the next president. I mean, Hillary Clinton was one of the most hated people in history, and Joe Biden is slightly less hated than her. And Hillary Clinton just barely lost. So with that said, freeing someone like Edward Snowden or pardoning someone like Edward Snowden would be huge. And at the very least, at the end of his presidency, if he doesn't get reelected, being able to pardon these people, if he really is truly a good person with good intentions like so many people claim he is, pardon people like Edward Snowden, and then you have people like Ross Ulbricht, who of course is in jail for just the rest of his life, sentenced to die basically, for building a website that other people did things on, and then the news blew it up and said that he was trying to get people killed. It was like there's murder for hire. Never happened, completely debunked. The people in charge of putting that information out have been completely disqualified as purveyors of information. And then you have the person that was allegedly going to be killed with this murder for hire situation coming out in support of Ross. Ross Ulbricht has been in jail for years, and it's absolutely insane. I know his mother, Lynn Ulbricht, very well. I consider her a friend, and what he's been through is insane. So I highly recommend people push for him to be pardoned as well. Sign the petition at change.org for freeing Ross Ulbricht. And another person, while we're at it, because we're talking about people that need to be pardoned and need to be let out of prison for the fact of the matter is these people have done nothing to hurt anyone. And the very notion, the primitive notion of someone going to jail for the rest of their life, being locked in their cage, sentenced to die, losing their entire livelihood, losing their life, just basically being their lives being destroyed over a victimless crime is absolutely ridiculous. It's like we are still cavemen or something with this kind of mentality. We have this petition up on the screen from change.org. Free Michael now. My friend Kingsley Edwards' father has been in jail for 27 years for a tablespoon of cocaine. A tablespoon of cocaine under Bill Clinton's tough on crime nonsense back in the early 90s. 27 years for a tablespoon of cocaine. He was possibly going to be released this year, but then COVID happened, and now he's getting shuffled around, and it's just like more examples of the fraud and absolute corruption of the system. Like they can't do Zoom meetings to free someone. Instead, they're like, oh well, we'll just leave him in prison to rot for another year or so. I mean, it's just insane. Imagine being in jail for one day. Now imagine 27 years. Absolutely insane. You have a petition right here, and obviously the issue of Julian Assange too, as this New York Times article says. Julian Assange is suffering psychological torture, UN expert says. The guy is literally just sharing information leaked from other people out to the public like a journalist should do, showing facts, nothing less, nothing more than facts, showing corruption, showing infiltration from different countries and meddling, showing war crimes and murder of innocent men, women, and children overseas, exposes it, and he's a guy who's currently sitting in a cell somewhere, waiting to possibly die. I mean, the fact that our thought process is in such a way that we think that this is okay, that anyone thinks this is okay, that we call people traitors. That's called Stockholm Syndrome, to call someone like this a traitor. A traitor to what? A government? I thought this was about a government by the people, for the people. Well, then the government is a people, and then the government is the individual. And then being a traitor by showing that individuals are being murdered, that's not being a traitor. That's being a hero. That's being a truthful individual that supports truth and free information and freedom. And at the end of the day, we have a huge elephant in the room if we're not willing to do something about this now. I mean, the fact that we've sat on our hands for so long is absolutely insane. So go sign those petitions and push Trump for this. I mean, again, I'm not asking the government for anything, but with that said, having the opportunity to possibly get people whose lives are in total danger, living in prisons or in exile or wherever they might be, to get them released from prison is really important to them. It's not about you, it's about them. Whether your principals are asking the government for something or not, these people depend on people like you pushing this kind of stuff forward for their own survival, for their own freedom. So I really recommend everyone go and check those links out and keep pushing this to the forefront, put the feet on the fire. Donald Trump needs to release these people. And if he doesn't, you know the type of person he really is. You know this was all a lie. And it's just another example of how all government is organized crime based on lies in order to deceive the populace into subservience. Don't be subservient. Be free and be loud. Anyways, I appreciate everyone watching today. Make sure to hit that like button, share on social media to get around the shadow banning. As I said, join our newsletter at www.iambanned.com. All you have to do is put in an email address. It's very simple. We got crypto addresses that you could donate to, as well as GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. We are completely viewer funded and completely demonetized by YouTube. So make sure to check those out and ways to save independent media and free information online. All of our friends are getting wiped off of YouTube. So also join us on flote.app, flote.app, as well as BitChute, LBRY, and Minds. It's time to put our foot down and be louder than ever. I think the time for education is largely past and it's time for action. So what are you going to do about it? Anyways, I appreciate everyone watching, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. My friends, it is go time. We are completely demonetized on YouTube, and we depend on the viewer to stay alive and spread the message of freedom and truth. So check those links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, anything you guys could do to help keep independent media alive helps enormously in helping spread this message to the masses. So make sure to check those links. Donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen or below. We really appreciate anything you could do to keep us alive. You could check those links below for Cointree as well, where you can find other cryptocurrencies that you can donate and keep WAM alive. Find us on flote.app, flote.app, as well as BitChute and LBRY and Minds. We're on all the other platforms. We are leaving YouTube soon, so make sure to find us at those sites, because it's the only way we can keep talking to you, the masses, the great people that actually care about the future of free humanity. Also, join our new newsletter at www.iambanned.com. Anything helps at this point, guys. We need to support free information online. This is the most difficult time in our history, and it takes a lot of hard work to keep our message alive in the face of great evils that have taken over the propaganda news on television as well as on YouTube, where YouTube decides what you can or cannot see. We need your help, my friends. So I really appreciate anything you guys can do. Check those links. There's many ways you can help. Until next time, though, thanks, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.